Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark, and we're back here for the afternoon call. I have not done it in a while. Scott will be back tomorrow, but you got me today. What a two-day move. Obviously, we know what the market has done over the last, say 3 weeks. Lots of money, lots of rotation. Mainly that OTC got pretty much hammered, for that indice in general. But stocks really took 20, 25, 30% discounts. A lot of them were high beta. A lot of them were the leadership of last year. And, it looked like we were done for a time being. And now all of a sudden, they got back. We had a two-day move, and you got some of these stocks right back into their bases. Now, Facebook obviously had a tremendous day. You had Google, which is had a decent day back, close to its 21 day. They need more time to form these bases before there's going to be nice key technical points for us to just say we have confidence in buying them. They might not let you in. That might be part of the case. So that means you just got to be a little bit smaller. I'm not waving the flag and saying we're done on the downside, but at the same time, I'm not the guy who ever fights the upside if I can avoid it. Sometimes I fight the downside. This time it just took me a little bit of time to adjust. And quite frankly, when you adjust, then all of a sudden they switch gears. We talked about it. It was a clear sign yesterday that we were going to rally, much clearer than today, I think. And today I didn't expect us to have that much of a move, but we did in the S&Ps. We obviously did in the Nas. And overall, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. But again, 2 or 3 days doesn't make or break a market. You just got to really play selective stocks. I like when the stocks have obviously, you got a bunch of stocks, LinkedIn, some of these stocks were at really tremendous lows, basically going back you almost have to go back to your weeklies and seeing multi-month lows. And you can see LinkedIn bounced right off that 160 level yesterday, and it's back to 176. So, they saved it. They're saving some of these stocks. You can just see it. Facebook could have easily, and I have my weeklies up now at this point in time, easily gone a little bit lower than this. First time it penetrated its 21 day on a weekly in a while, and it's back above there. So, I'm sure Google is very similar in that category now, back above its 21 day also. So you got to really wait and see what the next move is going to be. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I guess that's the best way. I'm normally a bull. We all know that. But the fact is, I didn't really believe this rally. I didn't fight it. I just sort of held my longs and held my nose at the same time. And that's part of the game. You don't necessarily want to fight it. Just fight the trend always. That's not the best case for a trader. Now, if you're an investor, if you're looking for a little bit longer term, you obviously can do a little bit bigger time frames. Right now, we're probably going to stay in this volatile period, even though the VIX isn't even moving. I would still assume some of these high betas are going to continue to move. You obviously see some solar stocks that, best in breed at this point seems like FSLR. They keep taking turns, but I did take some SCTY down here, which again is right at its 200 day. I'm using that as a gauge as entry levels for a lot of these stocks that I consider best in breed. I did it with YELP also. Again, 65. I've been long for 3-4 days. Just using that as a key. I'm probably going to have maybe one more day left in there for it to regain some composure. And then, it might be a short again. Who knows? That's how this tape is sort of bringing us and letting us be. Netflix, same thing. They all bounced off their 200-day on the daily chart. So keep that in mind. I don't know how far we can go at this point in time. I'm really not concentrating on the energy stocks, even though if you're going to look at certain stocks on best in breed, it seems like EOG is up in that category. SLCLR, Continental Resources, new highs. There's some random ones in that category. 3 weeks ago it was like they're rotating to big cap. They're rotating to the Microsofts, the HPQs, Intels. That could be the case. So these stocks have had, some of them had two decent rallies, but at the same time the charts are still intact. So maybe go back to them a little bit. Don't just throw them by the wayside just because now that a high beta is back in play a little bit to what you like. You still want to look at technically stocks that are intact that have not done that much damage. Most of these high beta stocks have done a lot of damage, and they need weeks, if not more, to form very nice bases in order for you to get really nice, solid, entry levels. That doesn't mean you're not going to be able to make money on the long and short side, because that's not the case. We are traders. We do it on an intraday basis or a multi-day basis. There's lots of movement that's happening. The key is respect your prices. Trying to look at your level 2 every second, that's not really going to get you paid. You got to respect your prices and let everything else work itself out. 2-3 days up now in this tape overall. This is really the second day up. You could have a third day up. You definitely could have a third day up. And then I would say into that move, if that's the case, I would be taking my trade, and I think you're in for some digestion. Doesn't necessarily mean short, but I'm assuming you're going to get some, you're not going to get a straight line to the upside. That would be foolish. That would be ridiculous, and it wouldn't make any sense in my book. And especially with how much damage was done technically, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, because these stocks would have to break through a lot of resistance to the upside, which doesn't normally happen over a daily period. It normally takes at minimum a week or two, possibly a little longer. And as I said, we've done a lot of damage, mainly on the high beta stocks, which is a lot of the stocks that we concentrate here on the VTF. But you had big 2-day travel range. Facebook was one. Facebook. We were talking about Facebook 2-3 days ago. That it seems like it's it has been a leader, and it was working itself to the downside, and obviously it's now led it to the upside. The key was the news this morning about the revenues, quarter over quarter, something to that extent on the advertising. So. It obviously had some positive news, but you could just tell the chase was on after the first hour and a half of the day. I did not think it was going to get to this price. I thought that 8 to 10 day was really in the cards for the stock. It went higher than that, as it always does. We overshot on the downside. It seems like we're overshooting on the upside too. So if we get a gap up tomorrow, which is a possibility, I would probably look at minimum, take majority of the longs off. And at that point in time, readjust and figure out if you want to really put some new shorts on or put some money to work. I think you're going to keep getting rotation, meaning the stocks that are still down at the 200-day, you can trust for the time being if they were past leaders. I'm going to try that philosophy. The stuff that has had 2 big travel days to the upside, and you're getting a gap up or even a pretty unched open tomorrow, I probably would be taking off. At minimum, if you haven't taken off, I'd be taking off 2/3 of my position, probably majority of my position, and waiting and seeing what the market wants to give it. I don't think it's over yet, but I would suspect the people who are called short, have bigger conviction than just 3 days of upside. I don't think they're going to give up yet. But you get another up day, a day and a half, and I think you're going to get people a lot more confused than they are right now. So. The market always keeps us on our toes, and I think that's what it's doing right now. Overall, today, we had some decent trades. I'd say Facebook was probably the best for the 2-day trade, just percentage-wise. But, we talked about LinkedIn on the site. We talked about FSLR. Obviously, it's been a play of the week, hanging in there, very intact. Chart still looks good. And then you can go after the rest of the high beta stocks that really have been looking okay. You had a nice 2-day move in Netflix. Again, still below its 8-day moving average, so not as potent. Tesla really didn't do that much. Maybe it rested today, and maybe tomorrow it's the move. Google, Amazon, which really has just been beaten up, but has had 3 nice days in a row, and again right to its 8 days, so that could be a little bit of resistance. And that's where I'm at. I didn't take a whole lot overnight. I'm not being very aggressive. I'm not putting new shorts on at this point in time, but if we do get a gap down, I'll be very cautious both ways. If I add to new shorts or add to new longs, I'm really just going to let the market dictate what happens. Respect the fact that our earnings are beginning. They began this week, but for the most part, they start next week. And I think that's going to dictate what we do. And I think the best stocks are going to really separate themselves, certainly from the stuff that really is not meeting its potential or earnings. And I think that's really the key. I don't think stuff that really, as you can see with ISRG, that misses earnings, it's gonna do damage. And I think there could be some more pre-announcements this over the next few weeks. Just be aware. I mean, that's what you have to. That's the risk of taking stuff, a few days before earnings or a week before earnings. There could be some pre-announcements that happen, and you could be in for some hurt if that's the case. Not sure, but just keep giving you a heads up on my normal philosophy when we get into earnings. Hope that helped today. But again, stay tuned to the VTF. I think we're getting, unfortunately, there's not a lot of swing positions that I'm comfortable talking about or putting on. I don't think we're in that tape right now. They're really a few hours to maybe a day and a half, 2-day move, both directions. And that's probably going to remain that way until I see more solid bases forming. That will come in time. You don't have to be in every move. You don't have to be in every stock and every move. That's the key. Find something that you have some conviction on. This week was the first week began to have a little conviction on some of my ideas. But again, I'm still taking off, and I'm okay taking my profit a little early, at least to get myself, back with composure. That's just how traders work. That's how the mind works. Respect it. Don't fight it. And the market's always open tomorrow. I'll talk to you later.